came up with in some of our management meetings is that, and we kind of had the prelude to it last week, or really the first step in the sales process, but it always helps everyone, regardless of tenure, to go back over the basics of how to sell, okay? Because we can talk product all day long. I can tell you everything you want to know about med stuff. Sort of. You should be able to. But I can tell you everything about a life insurance product or an annuity or whatever, but that's not selling, that's regurgitating information, okay? And so we really wanted to revisit the sales process. I heard from an agent that's been in the business longer than I have that sat through our Annuity 101 a couple weeks back and said, man, that was really helpful. It's not that you don't know this stuff, it's that it doesn't come up in your mind, and so if we don't talk about it, then it just continues to get buried, okay? So last week was fact finding. We appreciate Matt Schaefer for doing a fact finding training, showing you guys a new electronic fact finder. Who knows the next step in that process after you've done a fact finder? What's next? Pivoting. So what do you think I'm going to talk about? Pivoting. That's right. And to be real honest with you guys, and I've kind of always believed this, but there's not a lot of stuff for me to write on the board, and there's not a lot of things to show you on a presentation, because pivoting is not a science, it's an art, okay? Everybody's going to do it a little bit differently, but I think it's important to pay attention to what you're doing as you're working your way up to that pivot that can truly help you become better at transitioning from your warm-up and then your fact finder, okay? So you obviously segue from the warm-up to the fact finder. Well, the pivot is your segue from the fact finder to the presentation. So although Matt went over fact finding last week, I'm going to talk a fair amount about it, simply because most of the clues that you're going to be looking for when you're fact finding are going to tell you where you should be pivoting, okay? So if you're not doing a good fact finder, there's no way you're going to be able to pivot properly, okay? You don't have all the information, you don't know what it is, but you're actually, what's going to be the most important thing for somebody, okay? And so there's certain things that I've always looked for when trying to decide, okay, sometimes you go into a house, right, and you have a fact finder and it's full, right? They've got something everywhere, right? So what do you do then? Anybody can respond, it's okay.
Ask them what's most important to them.
Right, you're trying to uncover a need, right? Or you're trying to create a need. Or maybe you're searching for a need that hopefully you can create a solution to. Or maybe you're making one that you can create a solution to, okay? So how do we do that? Well, we look at pricing, we look at cash values, we look at in-force illustrations, all these types of things, none of which we're doing during the fact-finding process, right? We're just gathering information during the fact-finding, all right? But after you've gotten there, while you're going through that process, you guys should be listening. Listening is the most important step in that process, because people are going to give you, they're going to tell you what it is you should be talking to them about next. Or they come out and say, hey Dave, I really want to hear about how much money you can save me on my med sup, or man, I really wish I had more life insurance. They're probably not going to tell you those things. But if you train yourself how to listen and you know what to listen for, they're going to give you all the clues that you need to make the correct pivot. So, anybody heard the term hot buttons before? And I know you old guys have. You guys know what a hot button is? Anybody, shout it out.
What's important to them?
That's right. So we go through the fact finder. We're talking about 4 primary areas, right? But we're also talking about family too, right? At the very, very beginning of our fact finder, we talk about family. Many of you guys had somebody spend 25, 30 minutes on the family part of your fact finder? Ever happened?
No.
Might it occur to you, if that's the case, that taking care of their family is probably going to be the single most important thing that you're going to be able to talk to them about? Makes sense, right? Or you're going through your fact finder and talking about your Medicare supplement. Somebody starts ripping off a string of expletives because they've had 5 rate increases. They're laying it down there for you. All you got to do is say, all right, that's what we'll come back to. But my encouragement for you guys is that when you're doing the fact finder and when you're listening, when you're hearing these hot buttons, this is your note page, right? This is how you get to remember your entire conversation with these people. make notes, or put a star, or whatever. You know, if they're coming with emotion in response to some of your questions, make notes so you remember that that's probably where you should be going back to. Because your fact finder can take you a half hour, right? You can remember everything that was said in the half hour when the half hour's done. Because you've been trying to think about what's next for you to say, right? So it's important when they're giving you that information. Take those notes. It doesn't have to be that they've got an Aetna Plan G that they're paying $120 a month for. You should write that down if they can give it to you. But if they're expressing emotional response in that portion of your questioning, make notes on it. And give yourself a good reminder what you need to come back to. Excuse me. You ever go through a fact finder and you've got people telling you, man, I just love XYZ. I love my life insurance policy. Or the agent that sold me this is fantastic. Or I would never go anywhere than Mutual of Omaha for my Medicare supplement. You guys ever heard those types of things? So you make notes on that as well. If you don't, you should. Why? Huh?
Go back to that company if you can.
One, go back to that company if you can. Two, if there's something else to be looking at that you can solve in that house, don't go up against the thing that they love and cherish the most. You're creating conflict for yourself. You're creating this is going to be a tough deal to get done because we didn't pay attention to those clues that they were giving us, right? I love it, I love it, I love it. Well, I tell you what, Mrs. Jones, let me try to change that for you. It's probably not going to go real well, right? I mean, this is common sense stuff, but people, I'm certain that people's brains aren't working like this when they're sitting there. So, again, be paying attention to those context clues as you're going through. Whether they like it or don't like it, it's important for you to make notes on it so that you know which way to steer your conversation once you get to that point, okay? You guys familiar with buying questions? These are additional clues that your clients are going to be giving you. Who would give me a question that would be considered a buying question?
How much does that cost?
How much does that cost? How about another one?
How am I gonna pay for it?
How am I going to pay for it? How about another one?
Can I put it on bank drive?
How about another one not involved with money?
How do I get this started?
I don't think I qualify.
How do I get this started?
What do I do next?
What do I do next? What about, if I were to do something like this, tell me how this, or this benefit would work. But that phrase in the beginning to me is so important. If I were to do something like this, that means they've already put themselves in the position of ownership of whatever it is that you guys are talking about. They're already projecting it in their own mentality. You guys understand sales is all psychology, right? Yes, we want to create a solution to a need that they have, but it's all psychology. It's all upstairs. Whether it's them upstairs or you upstairs or both, it's all psychological. So it's important to continually pay attention to all those clues. And I'm just pointing this stuff out, guys. Like I told Mike, I was going to hit it kind of high level with you guys today. Anybody know my number one rule of fact finding?
Do it.
Well, there you go. That's a good start. How about finishing? Instead of do it, how about finishing? Because a half a fact finder is crap to me. And that's nothing. That's not going to help you truly be an advisor or help that family take care of the things that they need to take care of. So, and I've seen it 100 times. And when I say finish it, do I mean, well, we're coming through this, we're asking the questions, we get to the long-term care. Turns out they have a long-term care policy, so we immediately jump on the phone and call the carrier to find out what the benefits are. But I'll come back to the rest of the fact finder. Absolutely not. The calling the carrier part, guys, that is part of your pivot. You've already made a decision that that's the part of your sale that you're going to pursue. So when you're going through the fact finder, you take whatever information they can provide you off the top of their head and continue so that you have all of it. And then when you're done, then you start making some decisions as to, all right, maybe this is the right place for me to go. Hopefully you've been paying attention to your hot buttons or buying questions or whatever. But that's important stuff. When you guys are doing your fact finding and you're trying to determine what it is that you're going to present next, you ever stop and come back to what actually put me here? We go back to the phone call, to book the appointment, whatever it was that you guys discussed in order to do that. makes sense that maybe that might be a good first place to go as well. Okay, I know you guys aren't looking at me like I'm stupid, but I'm just telling you, this is simple stuff, but it's
You
worth
always go, you do what you say you're gonna do.
doing what you say you're gonna do, which is certainly my definition of integrity. What about this? Have you guys ever thought about the order of need when you're actually sitting with people? Like what need is it that I'm trying to find a solution for? And we have a very direct order of when these needs are going to arise. So help me out. What's going to be our first most immediate need on anything we talk about on the fact line? Medicare and or health coverage. Why? Because that is a living benefit. In order to receive benefit from a health care policy, you have to be alive, right? So it definitely comes before life insurance, right? What would the next be? Shout it out.
Disability.
Long-term care.
And the long-term care is the next most likely need if we're going to end up having all four. What would the next one be?
Life insurance.
I might argue that, and I might suggest the money part of the fact finder would be the next thing.
What if they don't have money?
If they don't have any money, then we can take that one off the table. That seems also fairly logical, right? But the money's going to get spent, or potentially be needed to be spent, before the need of a death benefit's ever going to be, right? However, if they have no money, then life insurance would be our next option, and hopefully you can save them some money on it. But the reason I'm pointing that stuff out, guys, is because when we're in a house for the very first time, our goal is to make them a customer first. Everybody familiar with the definition between a customer and a client? Customer has bought one thing from you. Anybody that you place 2 or more products with is your client. We're trying to create a customer when we first go into someone's home. So I don't care what it is that you sell them. You can sell them a UNL, you can sell them a cancer policy. I don't care. That is you putting your stake in the ground in that house and saying, I've gotten this process started. I've been able to build the trust enough in this home that they're willing to write a check to the insurance company that I recommend they write a check. Right? And that's really what we do every day. So paying attention to the order of need, I think, is important, because if we can show somebody how we can impact them sooner than later, the likelihood of them saying, yeah, that makes sense, I can see how that's going to help me today or tomorrow, it makes a lot of sense, right? We can talk about the estate planning, life insurance policies, and so forth after we've made them a client. But if I can save them money on their Medicare, or I can fill a need that they don't have, that's immediate impact. We've changed the story that day. Okay? So how do we do all that stuff, guys? How do we get through that fact finder and then the decision-making process? Does anybody have a specific segue that they really like to use that they feel comfortable sharing with the group, or you guys want to hear more? Okay? Well, you're going to hear it anyway, so I'll give somebody else a chance. But legitimately, so every time that I would sit down and do a full-blown fact finder on first appointments, it's very simple. Again, I'm always looking for completion first and foremost. That means I've gotten at least some information in every area, even if that means they don't have anything in that area. Then I would say, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, so just as a recap of kind of my initial conversation with you guys, I just want to do another real quick once-over, okay? And I'm going to go right back to the beginning of the fact finder. I'm going to say, all right, so we talked about your medical coverage, and it's really fortunate that that you were federal retirees, and so you don't even need a Medicare supplement because Uncle Sam's going to take care of you forever. So that's a green check mark. We're good to go. Moving on to long-term care. Quite honestly, you don't have any planning here. You said there was some family history there, so there's a little bit of concern for me here. Kind of puts up a red flag. Maybe that's something that we come back and address. Get over to the life insurance policy. I know that you guys said you used to carry really big policies, and now all you have is term, and that term's going to expire the next 3 years. In my opinion, that's something that we probably ought to look at sooner than later. And then last but not least, you've told me that you've had a great relationship with your Edward Jones broker for the last 20 years, and he's He's got all this wonderful asset allocation model built for you. I might have some ideas for you, but we'll certainly table that for another time. So all these things being said, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what I think I can help you with most immediately that can truly impact you guys in a positive fashion is in the area of these life insurance policies that you're about to lose or you're about to spend an awful lot of money to keep. Does that seem like a reasonable way to progress? And that's it. Right? You find where's your hole? You're looking for that immediate need. I'm never going to beat the federal government's health coverage, and I'm just making stuff up obviously as I go along. The long-term care piece is certainly a big red flag. I'm going to tell you guys, though, if you're going into a full-blown long-term care policy, that's a long presentation. That's a difficult sale. So if you've got somebody who's got something that's about to expire, again, where can I have immediate impact? Right there, right? The life insurance. Okay? So I'm going for, I used to tell myself, pretend like you're water running downhill when you're in a house. Okay? It's an interesting way to think about it. But what does water do when it runs downhill?
Easiest path.
Path of least resistance, right? So I know that if these people are concerned about their term policy, they're so concerned that they knew when their term was going to expire, and they're aware that that coverage is going to go away. I'm not getting any pushback there at all. So that makes a really, really nice transition for me to say, okay, I can help you right over here. Am I going to fight the ever jump guy today? No. Am I going to go into a full-blown long-term care presentation today? No. I want to make them a customer, right? They have a need. They told me what it was. I'm there to fix that problem, right? Seems like a pretty easy thing to do, right? A lot of people skip it. They chop their fact finder up. They hit 2 or 3 of the 4 areas. And then they go to the product that they feel most comfortable selling. Well, my encouragement to you guys, if you want to be the best agents that you can possibly be, get comfortable with all of it. Yeah.
On long-term health care, all I ever hear when I bring it up is it's so expensive, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So, when you hear that, do you kind of pull back?
No. I mean, if there's nothing else to do in the house but talk to them about long-term care, I don't pull back from any of that kind of stuff. Let's go. Okay? Even if it's a UNL, that still classifies as a variation of a solution to long-term care. It's not a 3-year, $150 a day, type of benefit plan, but it's better than zero. And so, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, if your comfort level is not to be able to spend $400 or $500 a month, to be able to protect the $300,000 or $400,000 that you have in assets over here, should something happen to one of you, maybe let's talk about something that would cost you about $100 a month, and I know that we can still protect at least $100,000 for each of you in the event that something should happen to you. So you can use it to your advantage if they're pushing back with a price thing or like that sticker shock kind of comment. Address it, acknowledge it. We have so many products, you can still use it to your benefit, and it's still going to make it seem that you are trying to create a solution that actually is going to work with their reality. I wouldn't let anybody's roughness or pushback scare me, but if I've got pushback all the way around, well, I know I'm just going to have to put my head down and run hard. If I'm getting pushback in 3 or 4 areas, but not in one, I'm definitely pursuing that one first. Right? And again, if you're not getting pushback anywhere, then go back to what put you in the house. Take care of that first. Is that fair enough? Like I said, it's not a science, it's an art form, but the biggest thing here with pivoting, guys, is paying attention to what your clients are telling you when you're doing the most important part of your sales process, which is your fact finding. Fair enough? Scott, it's all you, man.
We're going on the pivoting and going back to the fact finder. I was talking to John and Mike and Dave, and one of the things that I get questions on, I get calls all the time, is on stuff that we should be using every day on our dashboard in CSG. So obviously, once you've gone through the entire fact finder, you've done your pivoting, you found your product that you're going to try to help somebody with, and you said, oh no, the life insurance is a great place to start, or whatever you're going to start with, long-term care. Now you want to be comfortable to be able to go to that and find some options for them. You don't want to have to leave the house with your fact finder and say, Mrs. Jones, we're gonna come back another day to get some prices, because now you just walked out of an opportunity that you've already found right in front of yourself. So you wanna be able to go in and get into your dashboard and find the right place that you can get to the right products. And I know there's some issues, because I get phone calls literally every single day from different people in this room of how to pull up certain quotes and certain aspects of pulling up certain quotes. So I want to spend a few minutes and kind of show you and kind of help you where there may be a little bit lacking, how to make it a little bit easier. So obviously, like Dave said, be comfortable with all four product areas, and I would even include in there some of the supplementals, the cancers and dentals and things like that. Be comfortable with everything, because then you're comfortable talking about it, and you'll be comfortable in quoting it. And once you have that comfort level, you'll pull it up and get the quote right there, and your opportunity of making the sale that first time is much, much higher than trying to get back into the house, because you've only done it once. They don't know who you are. You talk to them about the finances, you walk back out of the house, chances are, it's probably about a 35–40% chance you're definitely getting back in. So you might as well make that opportunity happen if you can. Who all in here knows how to log into the dashboard and how to get to the dashboard? Everyone should know how to get to the dashboard, because that's where your commissions are. So if you know that, it's also where you quote all the different products. As you know, in your dashboard, if this works, here we go. All of your quoting tools are all together over here. So depending on where you're trying to go, most of what you're trying to get to is going to be on that CSG actuarial, which is the second one. That's where most of your quoting tools are going to be for your simplified products that you're making that first sale. So I'm going to quickly go over a few things with the quoting tools that you may or may not know. Probably the first ones you'll get into is Medicare Supplement. So again, I've already opened these tabs up, but I've clicked on the CSG actuarial, which takes you there, and all you gotta do is log in with the password. Just so y'all know, if you're in a household and for some reason your iPad doesn't remember the password or anything, everything is right here on your quoting tool. So the username and password is right below where the link was. So if you're in a household, it doesn't log you automatically. The username and passwords are right there. Seems like a small thing, but
For knuckleheads like me.
well, no, it can happen to anybody. But if you're there and you've just got finished going through the entire fact finder, and now you're like, cool, I want to pull some quotes up, and all of a sudden there's no username and password, you may get nervous. You may not remember where it is. So most everything you need is right on your dashboard. So
I have a quick question. If I want to call Royal Neighbors, how do I find that phone number?
you want to call it?
Don, it's right up there,
So-
carriers.
So you go right where you're here. You can do carriers.
Carriers, right there.
So you push. This thing's a little
That
slow.
cheap.
I just go
There you go.
call Royal Neighbors.
But like John said, if you can't, you don't have it logged into your phone, there's carriers. You go find Rural Neighbors, you click on it, and there's your contact information.
Thank you, Scott.
So, we'll come back over to Medicare Supplement.
Who updates this?
ASP.
Because, okay, well, the Southern Guarantee Insurance, parent company is Aetna,
That's correct.
not those guys.
Well, that's the parent company of Aetna with Southern Guarantee. But Southern Guarantee is written on Aetna paper. So it's not really the parent company, but it is written on Aetna paper. And you can always pull on the carrier resources and it'll take you to where the web page needs to be. And that's where you can find your Southern Guarantee. But that's a little thing. Obviously, when you're doing a quote, I just pulled a 65-year-old female Plan G. Something to rewrite quite often. Obviously right there, if somebody is married, has a spouse in there, you can always go into household discounts. That is going to help you find a cheaper price for some of the carriers that offer a household discount for certain reasons. A lot of people always wonder or ask about, how do I find like rate increases? That's market analytics. Market analytics is going to pull up what their last rate increase has been, what their projected rate increases are going to be. So again, if you're looking at some carriers and somebody says, well, I want to make sure I'm in a safe carrier, you can look what their ratings are. some of these Plan Gs are gonna be new, so you won't see the rate increases too much. But right here's a good one. So United World, which is, you know, on the mutual of Omaha paper, their Plan G, their last rate increase was 3%. You can see when that rate increase was, which was August of last year. So now you know if somebody you're sitting with a client that had mutual of Omaha, oh, you just had a rate increase recently. Well, yeah, I did. Okay, great. So now you can kind of see where these rate increases are going. But on the Medicare supplement, it's pretty simple to do. A lot of people always ask me, I get phone calls quite often. Hey Scott, who is a Medicare supplement that takes somebody for diabetes? Or hey Scott, who's somebody that takes a Medicare supplement for COPD? These questions you can find very simply when you're on the quitting software. You can put add health conditions. You can go in there and try to find it, or you can go in there and put, that says COPD. Oh, comes right up with COPD and respiratory illness. So if you click it, it will tell you if the question is on the application or not, which is pretty cool. So you can look up, you know, different applications. Like, you know, right now on the equitable, don't worry about that. That one's going away anyway. But it's not COPD was not on their questions. So in Medicare supplement, there's a lot of things you can do to get your rates for you and to help you on health conditions that makes it a little bit easier. And again, I did get ahead of myself before in the carrier resources, but you can click on your carrier resources over there, and it'll take you right to their website so you can do an e-app. So it makes it very simple for any of the carriers that are sitting there in it. Now, also one last little thing is over on the plan details. If somebody says, well, what exactly does a Plan G cover again? For Plan D details, it pulls up your low mini chart. So it makes it very simple. It shows on there what Medicare pays, what the plan pays, and what costs are there to the client. So they can see exactly how it works.
Hey Scott, we also show how you can compare to, like, say you got
Yep.
Mrs. Jones who loves Mutual of Omaha, but you know another company will be cheaper for her.
Sure. So, again, we'll take off the market analytics for a second because it gets big, smaller there. There we go. So you can go on and you can click on one of the clients or companies like an Equitable, and then you say, well, Mrs. Jones, I just want to show you, one of my favorite companies right now is Southern Guarantee. You see how it gets to be a different color? Should be two. Yeah. And you compare it. Oops. Why did it not open up?
It's on the left side,
Yeah.
what you can only do.
Yeah, I can't
You
go
can
there.
do as many as.
Yeah, you can do more than once, but you can do this even to send to clients. It's way up there. Here. It'll pull up. There we go. There it was.
It was.
It's on the bottom. Bottom left. Keep down. There you go.
Use my iPad, it's a little easier, but. Well, that just guaranteed, that just showed all of them. That one didn't do the.
Because they're normally up at the top.
It is.
Yeah.
Universal compare for it.
Yeah, so. There we go. Alright, try again.
There we go.
There you go, it was right
There you go, yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Not bad, Scott.
There it is.
There we go.
Yes, you put on the little bit. Put on the other one.
Sandy.
So there. So then you can go down and compare side by side, and you can do more than two companies. This is also good if you talk to somebody on the phone and somebody wants to see certain companies. You can send them 2 or 3 companies. So I wouldn't send more than 3, but you can send them a couple of your favorite companies, and it'll show them right next to each other what the ratings are, how much their household discount, if they have an annual application fee or not, because not all of them do. And that will kind of show on there. But the other one that you run into very quickly, and you want to be able to run quotes right there in front of them, is final expense. Final expense is pretty simple. I think most people know how to run a quick quote. $15,000, $10,000, $25,000 You can also pull up, again, health conditions are the same thing. So if you want to put health conditions on there to find somebody that will take a certain condition, or if it's a 2-year look back or 3-year look back, you know, that's where you can do the health conditions, especially on, let's say, somebody with, let's say, a heart condition. We'll say any heart condition. But it'll pull back up there and it'll show you what is look back periods for certain companies. So pretty simple to do that. Also, if you're trying to run somebody, if it's, you know that it's not going to be a level benefit, you want to do your single pay. Single pay benefits, a lot of people have a little hard time running those. Let's say you run into somebody that has $10,000 in your life insurance policy or cash value, and you want to run a single pay policy on that. There are 2 ways of running single pay policies. You can do one if you think that, hey, look, they want just a $15,000 policy and how much you need to dump into it. Or you can say, somebody says, I have 10,000 bucks and in one policy, I want to see what that will buy me. You can click over where it says monthly rate. You can put in the $10,000. You push quote on that. In just a minute, it's going to pull up the face amounts. The face amounts are a little in the dark area there. So on this one, it had Baltimore Life at 18,000, Oxford at 17,500. Yep. So those are going to be. So Baltimore's going to be the highest one, 18,000, and Oxford at 17,500. So again, you can pull up the single pays. So you can be in a household and you know, well, I've got an Oxford contract. I'm going to go ahead and write here in Oxford right now. I have a single pay app. And I can get you $17,500 as a 65-year-old female with $10,000 sitting in another policy. So that other policy they had may only have been a $12,000 death benefit. You can give them an extra $5,500 to be paid up. Not paying a monthly premium.
Even though they pay it like this, they still get an annual fee every year?
No. Paid up policy is paid up. You never pay premiums into it ever again.
Well, I'm seeing the annual fee, like the admin fee or
It
whatever.
is only a fee at one time. It's already built into that.
Oh, okay.
That $10,000 is giving you that $18,533. So you can do single pays and level pays. You can do graded benefits. Now, in order to find the guaranteed issue, it is in a different area. I think we mentioned this the other day. So if you had a level benefits product,
You gotta change monthly rate.
Yeah, change to it.
hey, I got to pull back off there. All right, thank you. Now you get mad at me. Is that my 29414? Is it? There we go. So again, back to our quotes. If you want to find a guaranteed issue, you just do a regular quote, and then over on the side it says underwriting type. You push guarantee. So it's a second step, but it will pull up our guaranteed. It's 65-year-old female. Right now, American General, Gerber, and Great Western are the 3 cheapest ones. But it pulls it up right there, makes it nice and easy. You can talk about American General. Somebody says, well, I like American General. Great. How about the Gerber Baby? Gerber Baby Food. And it make a nice and easy transition into the application. Again, right down there, electronic applications are right there. You log in and you're good to go. You know, same with, I don't know why Gerber's not on there. But yes, we've got Great Western, Nine Home Life, America. So,
But to use the e-app, you have to be contracted, which takes a paper app first, is that right?
in order to use an e-app, you must be contracted, that's correct. So if Knobs is the first one, then yes, you do a paper app and have John get you contracted or get to your manager. So any questions on the final expense and life insurance? Nope? Great. Then you got Medicare Advantage. Again, Medicare Advantage isn't probably the most underutilized area. because we do so much training on Medicare Advantage, a lot of people just look at their charts and go out and sell it, but this is great if you're going into an area that you're not used to going into very often. Because you can pull up the zip code, it'll pull you the plans that are available in that area. And of course, as soon as you get past the first couple, because the first couple are going to say drug coverage not available, because those are usually ones that are for VA type plans. But once you get down to it, then you can look at, in this area, the zero premiums or Humana, AARP, all well. You can also look at these and compare next to each other. So if you want to see what the benefits are like, makes it kind of simple to do. You can also do what we talked before about filling in the gaps. So if you're sitting there and talking with somebody, and next couple weeks, in a couple weeks, we're going to go over the new menu that we've kind of updated a little bit. This is nice to be able to put a menu that you can look at selling a hospital indemnity along with the Medicare Advantage right next to each other under filling in the gaps. So filling in the gaps means the Medicare Advantage, so you can show how it would work with your plan. But depending on whichever company you want to use, I like Medicare recently. They issue out very quickly and they're very inexpensive. So again, then you can show your hospital plan and you can build it for them while you're sitting right in front of them. So you build maybe an ambulance. Oh, missed hospital confinement. There we go. $350 a day, and however you want to build it, but it'll pull your premium for it right next to it, so you can sit there and show there's your hospital indemnity for $32 that can go with either your All Well or Humana, which was their premiums, and so when you put it on your chart that we're going to do back over next week, you can show the entire premiums right there with all the plans together. So you don't have to do it in two different areas, and it's a pretty simple transition. And you start showing, the client, Mrs. Jones, if you had to have an ambulance, it's $250 or $260 copay. We can fix that right there with the hospital indemnity, and it shows it right next to each other. So it makes it an easy sale. But this is the Medicare Advantage is not used very often at all, and I really think it should. Again, I do get phone calls. Hey, I'm going to be in Georgetown today. Which Humana plans are in Georgetown? Well, even though everyone thinks I know every single plan, I do not. Especially the areas I do not go into. So I'll probably ask the question for you again and say, hey, did you go into CSG actuarial and find what plans are available? And it's not me being mean, it's just you need to know how to run these tools, because it'll make your job so much easier when you can run these tools in the house.
Hey Scott, during that OEP, I was using this a lot just to compare the plan they had side by side, even if it's different companies, and it worked beautifully.
Yeah, that's a great area. That's a great way to do it too, because if they had, you said, well, which plan do you have? Oh yeah, I've got the old, Humana plan. You could find the old Humana HML. Oh, okay, you were in this plan. Let me compare it next to the new All Well plan, and then you sit there and pull it right back up. There's your comparison. Mr. Jones, your plan's on the right over here. You're paying a monthly premium, and you can show it side by side, all the way down to the medications. So it is a good quote. It is a good comparison tool to show them their benefits, and you can see right on there. But I would do that once you share that. Show them the benefits. Hey, look, we're going to save you some money with the All Well. Let's add that hospital indemnity plan. So if you went into the hospital, you're not going to get that big $325 a day charge of going in the hospital and get that bill of $1,000 or $1,500 later on. So again, very, very good tool.
Scott, this is great stuff, but I highly recommend that people practice and play with it before you go into the client's house.
Sure. But even if you go into a client's house and you find out that maybe I don't have a sale here, even pulling it up there and looking at their plan versus another plan side by side. I mean, once you start doing, like Greg said, he did it a lot through the OEP, because you're comparing them. Once you get used to doing that, it's pretty simple. The first couple of times may be a little difficult, but do it a few times. I agree with you, Randy. Practice a little bit. It's not that hard once you practice. Again, the hospital indemnity, maybe if you're sitting with somebody, I think this is another thing that we don't sell enough of, is when you're sitting down with somebody and they have a Humana or an Allwell or United Healthcare or Blue Cross, and you pull up and say, hey, Mr. Jones, did your agent show you, kind of a little bit of the most expensive parts of the plan? And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, if you were to go in the hospital, under your plan right now, it'll cost you $350 a day for 6 days. Were you aware of that? Well, no, I really wasn't. We didn't go over that. Well, that could cost you about $1,900. And so, for a lot of my clients, they purchase what they call hospital indemnity, which is very inexpensive, but will pick up that $1,900. And you can show them right here what a hospital indemnity will cost. Again, you don't have to do it right with the Medicare Advantage, but if you didn't sell the Medicare Advantage and now they just got it 3 months ago and they seem happy with it, pull the hospital indemnity. You can pull any the companies you like, whatever you feel comfortable with. A lot of people like guaranteed trust. So you can go ahead and pull the plan details up and build a plan for them. And that's how you build the plan, is by pulling the plan details up. And then go ahead and put in whatever day their hospital coverage was, their ambulance, their short-term stay, whatever you want to do, their dental and vision, whatever you want to do, and you add it up. But I think those hospital plans, again, it's not a huge sale, but like David already said, get a sale in household. You get a sale in household, that hospital indemnity that somebody did not help them with that year, that next annual enrollment coming up in just a few months, they're going to let you back in the house. And now you can go over the Medicare plan with them and make them even better client because you helped them with the hospital indemnity. I have many clients that I got because I helped them with a hospital indemnity plan outside of open enrollment. Because their agent did not, they'll ask me many times, why did my agent not go over that with me? Well, I can't answer that. Not saying that it wasn't good or bad, I'm sorry it didn't help you with that, but that's what a lot of my clients did. And so once you show that, they get into it, then next year, when it comes up at annual enrollment and you give them a call, hey, let's sit down and go over all the plans. They're gonna let you in the house first. And so, it's an easy process. What questions do you have about the quoting software? I know it's a little different transition ever, but I want to make sure that everyone knows how to do it. And like Randy said, practice it, because once you get to a house and you're able to pull these up, making the sale that day is a big difference maker from having to try to go back. For 2 reasons. Number one, you have to get another appointment with them. You got to spend the time and the gas to go back out there again, and you could be an hour out, but you could have made the sale and made the $200, $400, $600 right then on the easy sale to make them a client or make them a customer. And that way you get back in the house to make them a client later on. So I want everybody to be comfortable with that. If there's certain areas you're not comfortable with, please let me know. It's a very, very important part of your business.
Good.
I'm good.
Thanks, Scott. I want to ask y'all one other question, talk about one other thing, and I promise I'll let you go. But I skipped it. I don't know. Maybe somebody threw me off, or maybe I just spaced on it. But so I asked you guys a question once before. We were talking about the fact finder that you run into, and they've got everything. What do you do?
Ask for referrals.
Pass the referrals. I like that. That's good.
Add more.
Wouldn't you still want to make that very well planned for client a client? Okay. So the concept there is building the need. Okay. A lot of times when somebody has everything in place, they believe that they have covered everything, right? Would you venture to guess that you know more about retirement planning than the people you're sitting in front of?
Yep.
You guys ever engage in the conversation that is aiming to make them question if they have covered everything, even if they have well covered themselves already? Is that something that we do? You don't have to answer me, but I want you to ask yourselves, is that something you do, or do you throw your hands up and go, I'm on to the next one, this is a dead deal? I hope hope you build the need. And how do you go about doing that?
You can ask them a simple question like, what are you doing with your safe money?
I ask questions that create pain. Being perfectly honest with you, we used to say play on the pain all the time. But what is going to cause somebody that is well planned for, what's going to cause them to take action? And what's going to cause them to change their mentality? It's not going to be a feeling of comfort, right? So you have to create a little bit of discomfort, right? We as planners, unfortunately, hope for the best, plan for the worst all the time, right? So you guys also, as planners, should be more than willing to discuss the scenarios that you're planning for. And they're not comfortable ones. You're talking about somebody getting sick, or somebody needing care from another person for the rest of their life, or somebody losing a loved one, or somebody running out of money. Any of those conversations can create pain. And so asking open-ended questions around those conversations with a little bit of push in the direction of that particular painful conversation, I think you guys might be surprised as to what doors that might open for you. Does that make sense? I mean, does that concept make sense to you guys? So Mr. Jones, I know that you love your Edward Jones guy. He's great. What would happen and how would it make you feel if 2008 repeated itself and your $1 million portfolio was now worth $650,000? Would you have a smile on your face if that happened? I haven't talked about annuities at all, right? They love their guy, right? But their guy can't stop the wave like happened in 2008, right? You guys ever create painful scenarios for people in the area of long-term care? Specifically your clients that say, oh, my kids are going to take care of it.
First question I ask when they say that is, are you gonna have to the guy, are you gonna have your daughter, is she capable of putting you in the bathtub and taking you out of the bathtub?
So I ask that question differently.
I'd say picture your daughter wiping your butt. I just go right to it.
There you go. So mom, are you going to be happy with your son having to give you a bath? To dad, you going to have a smile on your face if your daughter has to soak you? If you can't go to the bathroom, do you want your children's last memories of you helping you do that? It's a nasty conversation, guys, but I promise you it's going to get some heads moving, right? Our job is to show people what they're not willing to think about. In other words, we're there with a sledgehammer to bust open the wall that they believe they don't need to look behind. All right? So if you find yourself in a home and you don't believe there's opportunity, but you think maybe there's an inroad somewhere, hopefully you pay attention to your hot buttons and start asking some probing questions, some very open-ended questions that are going to create an answer that they don't want to deliver. Yeah, I'd love for my son to wipe my ass. That'd be great. Nobody's going to say that. But think about it.
Think about what they want you to do for them now or will not let you do for them now.
But so all of you guys are human beings, and all of you have families, whether you have kids or not, right? And those families are important to you, I assume, right? Every single person you sit down with is in the exact same boat. And when you think about your family, do you want your kids to have to cover your expenses because you run out of money? Do you want your kids to have to take care of you because you didn't plan when you could? Do you want your grandkids to have to take student loans because even though you had some extra, you didn't bother thinking enough to leave a little behind for them? I mean, these are the kind of things that we have the ability to help people with, right? All of these clients that you sit and talk with, if they had their option, would like those things to be possible for their families as well. So it's up to you guys as the professionals in this business to point it out. single one of you have the ability to change the way people think. And it's only simply by asking questions. All right? Thank you guys. Have a great afternoon. Again, Doug McDermott's going to be here. He's an awesome dude. April 9th, 11 to